The Song of the Ice Storm. It was a gray Friday morning, and the clouds looked heavy with secrets. Inside the house, 24-year-old Fatima was ready for an adventure. Even though she didn't use words to speak, her bright eyes told her father, Levent, everything he needed to know. Today was the day of the big after-Christmas sale, and they had a mission to find something special. Levent carefully wrapped a soft woolly scarf around Fatima's neck as she sat comfortably in her wheelchair, her smile growing wider with every tuck of the fabric. While the family prepared to face the cold, Figaro, the gray tabby cat, had a very different plan. He stretched his long paws and let out a mighty yawn. Figaro knew his job was the most important of all. He had to stay behind to protect the house from any stray dust bunnies or rogue shadows. He jumped onto the windowsill, his tail twitching as he watched the first few hints of mist swirl outside. He was the king of the castle, and he took his duty very seriously. The radio had warned of an ice storm coming, but Gulsen, Fatima's mother, knew they could make it if they were quick. She gripped the handles of Fatima's wheelchair with steady, loving hands. "We're going to find a treasure, Fatima," she whispered. They headed out to the car, the air feeling crisp and sharp against their cheeks. The world felt quiet, as if it were holding its breath before the ice arrived. But Fatima's heart was drumming a happy beat of its own. Walmart was a bustling sea of red and white clearance signs. The aisles were filled with the leftover magic of the holiday season. Levent navigated the wheelchair through the rows of tinsel and discarded gift wrap. Fatima's eyes darted left and right, soaking in the colors. She loved the energy of the store, the hum of the lights, and the way her parents moved like a synchronized team to make sure she could see every single shelf. Suddenly, Fatima's hand moved toward a shelf tucked away in the corner. Gulsen followed her daughter's gaze and gasped. There, sitting among the plain boxes, was a vintage-style radio. It was painted in vibrant shades of teal and gold, with big, friendly buttons that looked like they belonged in a fairy tale. Fatima leaned forward, her fingers hovering near the radio as if she could already hear the music waiting inside it. Levent reached over and clicked the on button. Instantly, the aisle was filled with the tinkling bells and warm horns of a classic Christmas carol. Fatima's whole body reacted to the sound. She let out a joyful chirp and began to sway her shoulders to the rhythm. The music was like a warm hug on a cold day. For Fatima, who lived in a world of silence and careful movements, the melody was a bridge to pure, unbridled happiness. Right next to the radio, they found one more treasure, a small, light-up cardinal. It was a deep, brilliant red, with a tiny light inside that made its wings glow. Gulsen placed it in Fatima's lap. "A friend for the radio," she said. Fatima held the cardinal close, her fingers feeling the cool plastic. The red bird looked like a spark of fire against the gray afternoon, a reminder that beauty could be found, even when the sun was hiding. As they headed to the checkout, Levent and Gulsen shared a look of triumph. The ice storm advisory was still on their minds, but the joy on Fatima's face made every bit of the rush worth it. They laughed as they navigated the line, feeling like they had won a grand prize. Being a family meant moving through the world a little differently, but it also meant finding deep, hidden pockets of magic in a simple Friday afternoon trip to the store. The moment they stepped back outside, the first pellets of ice began to ping against the pavement. "Hurry now," Levent called out, shielding Fatima from the wind as they moved toward the car. The sky had turned a strange, shimmering silver. They worked together to get Fatima and her new treasure safely inside, just as the world began to glaze over with a thin, sparkling layer of ice. They were just in time. Back home, the house was warm and smelled of cinnamon. Figaro greeted them at the door with a loud purr, rubbing his gray fur against Fatima's wheels. They set the vintage radio on the table and turned it up loud. As the ice storm rattled the windows outside, the house was filled with the light of the cardinal, and the sound of holiday songs. Fatima sat with Figaro at her feet, her heart full of music, safe in the glow of a family that loved her more than all the stars in the sky.